When we talk about what do we mean by the church, meaning I'm going to church, or when Jesus writes a letter to the church, what does the Bible imagine that being? So here's what it is, all right? The church is a community of people made new by Jesus, united by the Spirit, engaging God's mission in a particular place. Right? The church is a community of people made new by Jesus, united by the Spirit, engaging God's mission in a particular place. All right, let's break that down. There's 5 things in there. This is important to understand as we enter into this next couple weeks as we talk about Jesus' heart for the church. First, the church is a community of people. That means it's a real group of people. It is a gathering of people who are real. They're in the flesh as we are here this morning. So you on your own are not the church. We as a community are the church. So it's a real group of people. Second, it is a community that's made new by Jesus. It is a redeemed community, meaning that the church is made up of not just you happen to get 20 people in a room, boom, that's church. But second, it's a community of people who have believed in and turned from their sin and trusted in Jesus. Jesus' death and resurrection has been applied to their life as they have placed their faith and trust in him. And so the church is formed of all those people who have made that decision for Jesus, who have received his forgiveness and are walking in his way. Now, there's an important distinction to make because that means that if you don't follow Jesus, or maybe you're still making up your mind about Jesus, you can attend a church service, but you're not actually yet part of a church. You're not actually part of the church. So you can attend a service, and this is where our imagination kind of in contemporary mindset is a little bit off because we think I'm going to church, therefore I'm part of the church. But the church is actually made up of people who have been redeemed by Jesus. This is part of why church membership matters, is because part of the process in church membership is to just talk about your story, talk about your understanding of Jesus. So we have you write out your testimony. All that is part of making sure that you understand who Jesus is, so that when we extend church membership to you, we're not lying to you about where you stand with Jesus. And so that's the second thing. It's a redeemed community made new by Jesus. Third, it is a community that's united by the Spirit. It means it's a spiritual community. We are united not by what we have in common, not by the fact that we like hanging out with each other, because let's be honest, some of us don't like hanging out with each other. We are united not by our common interests or anything else other than the Spirit of God. God's Spirit, when you turn from your sins and trust in Jesus, indwells you, and then he unites us and binds us to each other. He then empowers us and gives us gifts to be able to do the things that he wants. So we're not held together by our chemistry or our common interests or the fact that we all live in the same zip code or whatever. We are bound by his Spirit. Fourth, then, we are engaging God's mission. It is a missional community, meaning that this community has a point. It's not enough to just gather and say, hey, this is really cool, we're hanging out. You can do that with your friends, you can do that with your neighbors. The church exists not for itself, but for God's mission. And that is to make all things new through Jesus, to reach out to people and to invite people into his good news. The church has a purpose. And lastly, it is in a particular place. It's a local community, meaning that the spiritual church as a whole is kind of all Christians through all time, global, historical. We're all part of the church. But this is where we get down to the nitty-gritty of it, is we are a local community, meaning that we meet in a particular place. We have a focus on the particular community that we find ourselves in. So those all together form, I think, what the Bible imagines and Jesus imagines when he talks about the church. Now, if you were to kind of take that and then apply it to how we typically think about church, you'll notice that in that definition, there's nothing about whether it's a big church or a small church, whether it's a church with a huge building or no building at all, whether it's a church that meets in someone's home or meets in a theater. It is real people who gather together because of Jesus, united by his Spirit to engage in a mission.